Good evening, I'm Cesar Drilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Sean Yao.
The big stories tonight, hip-hop gangsters, an unnamed rapper, a former politician, a Chinese businessman, a lawyer. Authorities have a growing list of the mastermind in the violent convergence and standoff in Manila amid what should have been a peaceful anti-corruption protest.
There was no incident of such kind at the rally in EDSA, which peacefully started and ended, but nonetheless saw a great outpouring of anger against corruption in government.
And Super Typhoon Nando is unleashing its wrath up north as we speak. We'll check out its track and strength later on in the program.
Wag na kayong babawi, hayaan nyo na, ibaba nyo lang sila, ibaba nyo.
Utak adik yan eh. Utak talangka yan eh. Matatapang lang yan kapag sama-sama sila.
We begin with Sunday's massive rally aimed at holding to account government officials involved in corruption. At the People Power Monument in EDSA, the atmosphere was peaceful. Not so in some parts of Manila as the rally at Luneta winded down. Mobile journal Merimon Reyes has tonight's big story.
Police station at the Ayala Bridge fortified their barricade as rallyists in black garb and masks aggressively attacked amid their rally in Manila against corruption on Sunday. Obviously from their attire, these rioters were not part of the trillion-peso marchers who wore white. And while many rallyists in Luneta were dressed in black, they were a peaceful group. Unlike this bunch, some of whom even threw huge rocks at the police before proceeding to burn a truck's tires. Police tried to pacify the situation,
Wag na kayong babawi, hayaan nyo na, ibaba nyo lang sila, ibaba nyo.
but the rallyists just became more aggressive. Some police were hurt. They tried to stand up, but they were just stoned some more. Rioters also kept on hitting shields, which PNP personnel put up as part of their policy to exercise maximum tolerance towards protesters. After an hour of this aggression, police forces started to advance. The rowdy protesters began to disperse as arrests were made. Over in Menjola, right after Kabataan and Bayan Muna finished their programs, rallyists in black and with masks rushed in and threw Molotov bombs at policemen barricading the area. They also torched a backhoe. Firemen put off the fire without retaliating, but the masked men just got more aggressive. Some of them went to Recto Avenue and destroyed parked vehicles and traffic lights. To prevent them from further advancing to the gate in Menjola, police had to throw tear gas. In all, a total of 216 were apprehended around the areas of Ayala Bridge and Menjola, 89 of them minors. 95 PNP personnel were injured. Meantime, authorities noticed the flags the rowdy protesters waved, either one-piece flags or an upside-down Philippine flag with the red side up. The DILG believes this could be insignias of a local terrorist group with the intent to attack Malacanang and set it on fire.
The threat of the terrorists was more of a bomb that would go off in Luneta or in the Luneta or in the People Power Monument.
The DILG secretary enumerated possible charges against these rioters that could include arson, grave physical injuries, inciting to sedition, even a possible violation of the Terrorism Act. For Manila Mayor Isko Moreno, whatever the raps are, these troublemakers will get their day in court.
Utak adik yan eh. Utak talangka yan eh. Matatapang lang yan kapag sama-sama sila. Kita mo ngayon mga nasa hoyo. Mag-iiyakan na ngayon yung mga yan. May mga balita kami, mga dating politiko, Filipino-Chinese. May isa naman, lawyer. Ayan yung mga binabantayan namin ngayon.
Mobile journalist Merimon Reyes, we are One News.
And joining us tonight to discuss yesterday's violent protests in Manila is Manila Police District spokesperson Major Philip Ines. Good evening, Major. Welcome to the big story.
Yes, Ma'am Ses, magandang gabi po at ganoon din po sa mga nanonood sa inyong programa ngayon.
Ano po ang basehan na dun sa statement na gustong sunugin nitong mga protesters ang Malacanang?
Sa atin po, Ma'am Seth, nakita lang po natin yung panghayagang paglabag sa batas po nitong mga grupo na nandito po sa may kahabaan po ng Ayala, kanulukan po ng Romualdez, at dito po sa may Mindiola at sa may CM Recto po. Doon po sa impormasyon na yon, ongoing pa po yung ating pag-iimbestiga. Malaman po natin kung may mga katotohanan po ito.
May umamin po ba sa mga naaresto na ganun ang kanilang pakay?
Sa ngayon po, wala po tayong ganong nakuha informasyon. Nalaman lang po natin na ito pong mga grupo po ng mga nanggulo po dito sa may lungsod ng Manila ay mga miyembro po ito o mga kasapi po ito ng isang mga hip-hop group na na-influensya po ng isang rap artist natin. At yun lang po yung mga account na nakuha natin doon.
Ito po bang rapper, ang pagkakakilanlan po nito ay alam nyo na?
Meron na po tayo doon na Ma'am Seth, kaya lang po hindi po muna natin pwede kinibinto. Pinapacheck po natin kung may mga ebidensya po tayo na magsasabi na talaga pong meron po talaga siyang hayagang paglabag sa batas na maaari po niyang kaharapin.
Okay, Major, nagpaunlak na nga ng press con si Mayor Isko at sabi niya merong mga konti pang suspicions kung sino ang posibleng funder nito. Phil Chaidaw, na businessman, na ex-politician. Alam na rin po ba ninyo kung sino ito? At binablind item lang tayo po ni Yorme muna.
Yan po ay ipapabalidate po natin kung meron pong mga tayo makukuha ang informasyon. At kung malalaman po natin na may katotohanan po ito, mananagot po sila sa batas.
Follow up lang din, no? Kasi unang nagsabi nga na ang plano daw nito ay lusubin yung Malacanang, si DILG Secretary John Vic Remulla. Saan kaya niya nakuha yung balitang yon?
Sa ngayon, ipabalidate po natin yung mga nakukuha nating informasyon. Hindi lang po tayo makapagbigay pa ng konkretong mga detalye tungkol po dyan. Ang sa atin lang po dito, nakita lang, kinaresto po natin yung mga nakita po natin hayagang lumabag sa batas.
And Major, based on your initial investigation, iisang grupo lamang ba ito o iba-iba din po sila?
Ang nakuha lang nating informasyon po dito, ito pong mga individual na huli natin ay kasapi po ng iba't ibang mga hip-hop gangster po ang tawag sa kanila o yung mga street gang po ito. Wala lang po tayo pang mga iba pang mga detalyeng makuha sa kanila, maliban lang po ito sa mga nakita natin na sila po yung mga nanunog, nanira, nanakit po ng ating mga kapulisan.
Major, kahapon kasi parang nabanggit na yung ilan daw sa kanila ay nasa fraternity rin.
Isa na po sa mga tinitignan natin yan, ang mahalaga po dito, mapapanagot po natin sa batas yung mga hayagang gumawa po nito.
Ano na po yung status ng mga ibang menor de edad na nakuha ninyo? At yung pati yung mga nagka-claim na inosente sila, kasi marami na pong lumalabas sa social media, naghahanap po ng kapatid, ng kamag-anak, ng kaibigan. Have we sorted everything out? Nahanap na po ba lahat ng hinahanap?
Yes po, meron po tayong mga minor data na nasa kustudiya po natin. At ang mga nag-handle po nito, yung mga social worker natin, katulad din po natin yung ating Women and Children Protection Section. Kung saan ito mga minor data na nasa kustudiya natin, ay dadaan po ito sa intervention. Kung saan po yung kanila pong determination po ng discernment at pag malaman po natin na alam po talaga nila na alam po na talaga nila na yung pagkakamali nila, mananagot po sila sa batas.
Lahat po ba ng naaresto ay nasa kustodiya ninyo o kalat-kalat po ba sila?
Yung iba po nasa ibang istasyon kasi hindi po natin pwedeng mailagay po dito sa Manila Police District sapagkat meron na po tayong mga dati pa nasa kustodiya. Yung iba po dinala natin sa mga ibang istasyon na maluluwag po yung kanilang mga custodial facilities.
Okay, yung concern din ng iba, Major, is that we're calling them, or I guess they're being labeled as local terrorists kasi meron tayong anti-terror law. So kumbaga mas mabigat kung tatawagin natin silang terrorists. Are they really terrorists? Can we clear that up?
Sa ngayon po, wala po tayong ganyang impormasyon, ma'am. No? Sa atin po, kinakala po lang natin, pinoproseso natin sila. At sasampahan po natin sila ng kanilang mga krimen na nilabag. Kasama na po dyan yung arson, kasama na rin po dyan yung serious physical injuries, malicious mischief, direct assault, at marami pa pong iba.
Ngayon po, sino ang bumibisita dito sa mga kabataan na to? Meron ba kayong nakikita na posibleng involved na sumusuporta sa kanila?
Kanina po may mga abogado po nga pumasyal sa kanila dito, mga 7 abogado po ito para tignan po yung kanila pong sitwasyon. At ito po yung miyembro ng mga party list po natin.
Anong party list po yon?
Kanina po nandito po yung Akbayan party list, nandito rin po yung ACT teacher, nandito rin po yung Gabriela.
Sila po ay wala namang kinalaman dito sa grupong to at nagbibigay lang ng tulong legal. Tama po ba?
Kasi po sa nakuha nating impormasyon, may mga miyembro po sila doon sa mga nahuli natin.
Nakasama sa riot?
Yung po yung impormasyon po nating nakuha.
Mga menor de edad din po?
Sa ngayon po, hindi ko lang po ma-qualify kung may mga minor de edad doon. Ang masasabi ko lang po, meron po silang mga miyembro na nahuli din po natin.
Ilan po kaya, Major? May bilang
Sa
po
ngayon
ba
po,
kayo?
meron po tayong nahuli na, sa last bulletin po natin, meron po tayong nahuli 216. At
Okay.
sa 216 po na yan, meron po tayong mga minors.
Yung mga nahuli ninyo na miyembro ng Akbayan, Gabriela o ano po yung isa ninyong nabanggit? Ay ilan po?
Yun lang po kanina yung mga bumisita rito na may mga kasama pong abogado. At nabinggit po nila, may mga miyembro po sila na sa kustodiya po natin.
Okay, marami pong salamat. Manila Police District Spokesperson Major Philip Ines.
Now, moving on, Senate President Tito Soto and Senate President Pro Tempore and Blue Ribbon Chair Ping Lacson met with the Independent Commission for Infrastructure. Soto said the ICI wanted to know more about budget procedures and how individual amendments or insertions are possible. This included the workings of the small committee, which is accused of making alleged illegal insertions for various infrastructure projects in the 2025 budget. Soto told the ICI that there is nothing wrong with a small committee, but he stressed that whatever changes it makes on the budget should still be approved by the Bicameral Conference Committee. Lacson, on the other hand, was more direct as he said before the ICI that lawmakers are the source of corruption. Lacson also submitted 13 folders containing evidence of anomalous transactions in flood control projects.
Ginagawa nila usually yon dahil mahirap yung masyadong maraming member ng BICAM kung ang pag-uusapan lang ay mga 3 or 4 points. No? So talagang naggagawa talaga usually ng small BICAM. Pero kailangan ang lumalabas doon sa small BICAM ay approved nung regular BICAM, bigger BICAM, at saka maliwanag, at saka ika nga yung transparent. Ang gagawin natin dito sa 2026 budget para hindi mangyari ang ganyan at hindi ma-question yan, we will make sure that if ever there is a necessity for a smaller BICAM because of masyadong marami ng BICAM, we will still make it open to the public, live streaming.
We want to go as far as, reaching the original sin. And the original sin is Congress. Kung wala nag-insert, walang paglalaroan yung mga district engineering offices eh. So we're mulling on the idea na mag-usap yung House at saka yung Senate.
Meanwhile, the ICI said it has received reports of widespread destruction and tampering official documents by some DPWH officials in connection with questionable flood control contracts. The ICI did not specify which DPWH office was involved, but it stressed that all records relating to public works are public property. The commission reminded officials that any attempt to destroy, falsify, or conceal them is a grave offense that carries both administrative and criminal liability.
Still on Senator Lacson, he said that Bulacan 1st District Assistant Engineer Bryce Hernandez is hesitating to turn over his computer, which contains crucial evidence in the flood control probe. The Senate allowed Hernandez to return home for 12 hours on Saturday to retrieve his documents and computer at his residence. But Lacson, who chairs the Blue Ribbon Committee, learned on Sunday night that the beleaguered engineer changed his mind about surrendering the device at the behest of his lawyer. Lacson said Hernandez will face consequences if he won't turn on this equipment.
I will cancel the legislative immunity na binigay sa kanya. And we will not recommend him to be admitted into the Witness Protection Program.
But in an earlier interview with Ted Filon and DJ Chacha on True FM, Lacson said Hernandez only changed his mind upon seeing agents from the CIDG or Criminal Investigation and Detection Group.
Nandun yung OSAA kasama si Bryce Hernandez. This was last Saturday. May mga dumating na si IDG agents doon. Parang kumbaga medyo nagbago yung isip ni Bryce Hernandez. Hindi agad niya tinan over yung computer. Hindi ko nga alam kung bakit may mga si IDG agents na nagpunta roon.
And we now speak to the lawyer of Bryce Hernandez, Attorney Raymond Fortun. Good evening, Attorney Fortun, and welcome to The Big Story.
Hi, Sense. Good evening, and thank you for inviting me.
So now it's time to directly get from you what is the situation with respect to the computer and other evidence that Bryce Hernandez has in his possession.
Oh, so let's go back to the premise. No? Last Saturday, si Bryce was given the chance to go back to his home to take a look at his computer because ang sabi niya is that mahirap magturo ng mga tao unless meron kang evidence. So he came there in order to get the evidence that was needed by the Senate. Now the problem was that the promise was that he would be turning over certain evidence. Wala namang sinabi si Bryce na ibibigay yung buong computer niya. Now, upon discussion with his lawyers, myself and Attorney Ernest Lavanza, now we have decided that to speed up and to assist the real entity that has been tasked by our president to investigate these anomalies, to give the entire computer to the ICI. No? It will facilitate everything, and for sure, ICI will be the better entity in order to be able to come out with a credible investigation that will be acceptable to the public.
And it is now with the ICI, the computer?
Right now, hindi pa, Cese. The problem is that even the family of Bryce is now having second thoughts about this plan. Because as you may have already heard in that earlier interview given by Senator Lacson, there's in effect a threat, and it is a real threat, that when there's going to be a subsequent hearing by the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee, that Bryce will now be stripped of his legislative immunity. Now, what does that mean? And any time that a resource person would go to the Senate, meron siyang effectively na assurance that whatever he says is not going to be covered by libel laws, no? So somehow it will encourage resource persons to speak freely. Now, once you strip a resource person of this legislative immunity, then matatakot na siya because now anything that he say which is defamatory to another person or even to an entity, cannot be he cannot be subjected to libel laws, and it will be very difficult now for Bryce to speak freely. He wants to tell all, he wants to cooperate with whatever efforts made by the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee, pero with that kind of a threat, kahit din ako, anybody, any resource person will think twice about going and speaking before that committee. Kasi matatakot siya.
But attorney, the threat only materialized because parang kumbaga nagkaatrasa na sila di ba? He was only allowed out to be able to get the documents and the computer. And of course, when he refused to turn it over, I mean, that was the whole reason for him being allowed out, right? So maybe...
Well, what happened is we've already turned over a number of documents to the Senate, and that was the promise, that there would be evidence to support Bryce's accusations against certain individuals. But there was no promise that the entire lock, stock, and barrel is going to be given to the Senate. So binigyan na po. In fact, I think earlier there was an interview also by Senator Lacson that these documents had been sealed. They had been sealed already. They are in their custody. All they have to do is just now open the sealed documents. And I have it really on authority that there were in fact documents which were turned over to the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee. That was the promise. Now, with regard to the computer, parang ang nangyayari dito is they now want also to get this computer. And the intention of Bryce is also to assist the ICI in its own investigation. because Bryce also believes that the ICI should also be given a free hand in order to help, no, in the public's desire for not only for accountability but also for transparency.
So malinaw, attorney, no? So the Senate already has a printout of what's inside Bryce Hernandez's computer. So why are they still insisting on getting the actual device? And can you explain to us the chain of custody here? Kanino po ba dapat talaga napupunta? Is it up to Bryce on where his computer should be turned over to?
Well, okay, let's answer the two questions first. There are documents which have been given to the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee, and these documents would be more than sufficient in order for it to continue with its own investigation on the flood control projects. Now, with regard to chain of custody, Bryce and his family currently has custody over the computer, and they're intending to turn this over to the ICI by tomorrow. Now, because of the hesitancy caused by the threat hurled on him, no? Dalawa yung threats eh. One is that he will be deprived of legislative immunity. The other one is that he will not be recommended to be part of the witness protection program. I mean, if you are a witness before the Senate and you're being threatened like this, then you will have second thoughts as well about how you will proceed, whether you would want to assist in a parallel investigation, maybe even a body, no, that is tasked by our own president, not to do an independent investigation, or to just continue to cooperate with the Senate.
But just the same, he is giving the computer to the ICI. Let's clear that.
That is his intent, yes.
Wala nang atrasan yan. You see, that's where the attorney, that's where the suspicion lies kasi parang may atras-abante, gusto ba talaga niyang isiwalat ang lahat o hindi? And why would Senator Lacson have the impression that it's the computer that he was told? Why was there some sort of miscom between the two?
I honestly do not know what was discussed. What is sure is that Bryce asked for permission to go back to his home in order to secure evidence. Now, with obviously, no, the evidence that some people would want, no, is in that computer. But what Bryce did was to be able to print out, no, some of the documents that were inside the computer.
Some, not all.
Yeah, but and also, how do they verify, attorney, na you know, hindi gawa-gawa lang yung printouts, and those are legit, like from the computer with metadata that they can check?
Yes, certainly. No, kasi from the time that he arrived, the computer was just opened. No, there was no access or any alterations made during that particular period, and all that was done was really to print out contents. Ngayon, after that, just to satisfy everybody, you know, that there would not be any tampering or alteration of the contents, the computer itself was sealed. So I was not present, but I understand that there were measures made in order to ensure that the integrity of the contents of the computer would still be intact, even to which body it is going to be handed over later.
And attorney, may you clarify for us, ano pa talaga yung CIDG involvement that supposedly also led to his cold feet about giving the computer?
I mean, to be fair with Senator Lacson, kahit din kami, hindi rin namin alam kung bakit merong CIDG nandiyan dyan. And I really cannot respond to his saying that suddenly Bryce had cold feet after he saw the CIDG. No, I think that's pure speculation. Walang connection yung dalawa. No, I am certain that there was no instructions from any law enforcement agency for Bryce to suddenly turn around and then to change his mind to give the computer to the Senate because of the presence of the police. Hindi po nangyari yan. I can assure you all that that did not happen. And if whatever suspicions that Senator Lacson may have, that's all up to him. No?
But
Pero
what was the explanation of the CIDG to Bryce and the family that they turned up there?
Yeah, I also don't know nga why they suddenly turned up there and who gave instructions to the CIDG to the press.
Walang search warrant, attorney, or coordination whatsoever with the ICI or even the Senate?
To my mind, wala. Certainly, walang search warrant. No? Up to now, there is no search warrant that has been applied for from any court, nor has there been any that has been issued.
Pero did the CIDG, were they just lurking outside? Did they also demand to be let in the residence? Ano po ba yung nagyari? Kasi ando naman po yung OSAA, di ba, attorney?
Yes, that's right. The OSAA was present, no, and they actually supervised, no, the entire process of Bryce going over the contents of the computer, printing out yung mga documents na kailangan, etc. No. Now, yung CIDG, well, they were there also, no, to try to see if everything was also being done properly, and there was no tampering of the computer.
But they were allowed in, or did they kind of, you know,
They were
hardball?
allowed in.
Yeah.
The most that I can say, to be very candid to everybody there, no, I was not present, and I actually did not inquire anymore kung ano yung reason why the CIDG was there. For us, we thought that it was part of the process, that everything was being done in order to ensure, no, that the contents of the computer is going to be intact.
So now Bryce is back in the Senate. He's
Yes,
in the
po.
custody of the Senate. How were his accommodations, quote unquote, there?
Much less than what he was used to in the past. No, just kidding. Well, it's supposed to be Spartan, no? You're a detained person in the Senate, so don't expect that you would have the comforts of home.
And that laptop, attorney, also, is it with Bryce in the Senate? Is it with his family? Because you said Bryce and his family. So just to clarify, where is this laptop that supposedly is being planned to be turned over tomorrow?
Laptop ba siya, attorney, or desktop computer?
It's a desktop computer.
Desktop computer, okay.
So, well, the family has the computer, and the family is not with Bryce. Bryce is
Yeah.
well isolated.
Right.
I think together with JP Mendoza yata. They're in one of those here.
Oo. Attorney, I understand inside the Senate premises, ang ka-roommate ni Engineer Bryce Hernandez ay si JP Mendoza. So ibig sabihin hindi po niya nakakausap si District Engineer Henry Alcantara. Ito bang pag-uusap niya kay JP Mendoza, is he also willing to tell all?
Yes, yes. JP, no, is very instrumental because he will be able to corroborate everything that Bryce has already divulged, no, in the past. Bryce has already given what we call a whistleblower's report to the ICI, and that has been described to be well, free from any evasion. No, it has been very voluntary on his part. There are a number of personalities that have been mentioned in this whistleblower's report, and the contents of the computer is the one that is really going to be, shall we say, quite explosive. Because, alam nyo, ang maganda kasi dun sa, no, right now, ngayon, if you take a look at the GAA, there are those projects, right? Pero you won't know who had proposed them and so forth, how much the amounts are. The amounts are there, yeah, sure. Pero important kasi yung mga proponents, because the allegation is that it is the proponents who allegedly had secured 25 to 30% of the entire project, no? And it is given in advance. So hindi pa nagagawa yung project, ay meron na kagad na nakukuha yung proponent. So the contents of this computer will show that. No, I have seen actually some of the pages that have been printed. I have seen that there are quite a number of personalities who have come up. No, some of them hindi ko nga kilala. Pero well,
Okay,
that's
but
can
how did
understand.
he list these names? Based on just him listing, or are they official documents?
No, they are lists. They are lists. Kasi, di ba, you already
lists.
saw the monies. You already saw the monies now on top of that big table. And it was important that the list is there so that they would know how much would be given to whom. All right? So, importante yung list na yon because it is actually part of the puzzle. You have the monies that's already established. You have the scheme or the mode by which it is done. So now you go back now to where did it all start? No, how did the monies actually be on that table? And the lists that were created by Bryce and some other people, I don't know who, no, would actually form part of the puzzle so that we would know where it started and who actually should be held accountable.
All right. Finally, you are just concerned about legal immunity, but he is willing to have the book thrown at him after this, right? To to be charged in the future eventually?
Yeah, we've already explained that to him. No, there's no getting away from this. Whatever he has done, he will have to pay for it. No, but we do have certain laws in place with regard to individuals whose testimonies might be necessary in order to put to jail the masterminds of a particular criminal conspiracy. And one of the requirements here is that that person does not appear to be the most guilty. Okay? So if he's just, Senator Lacson has said in some interviews no, na the DEs are actually just being made as bagmen. So in other words, mga taga-bit-bit lamang noong mga pera. So which means that they did not start it. They did not
Well, I beg,
concept.
pero sumausaw sila, Lamborghini, ano ba yung mga kotse, di ba?
Yep.
So,
And we've explained it to Bryce, no, that it's part of his penance. He will have to return everything that he benefited from, so that well, it's penance, no. When we speak of penance, that there has to be first an acceptance of the error or the mistake or the sin, and then it is only then, that there can be some sort of a forgiveness of the sin, but there's still a need for him to return whatever that he had benefited from this particular sin.
and jail time.
And jail time, yes, I would think so.
Well, we thank you for talking to us. That was Attorney Raymond Fortun, lawyer to dismiss DPWH engineer Bryce Hernandez.
We're just going to take a quick break, but coming up, we have the latest on the track of Super Typhoon Nando, which is now battering areas up north with powerful rains and wind. Stay tuned to the big story. Keep it here on One News.
Thank you for staying with us here on The Big Story. Super Typhoon Nando has made landfall over Panutan Island in Calayan, Cagayan. And at this point, it has already caused a whole day of strong winds and torrential rainfall in most parts of the province. In Apari, families living near bodies of water have been forcibly evacuated.
Right now, signal number 5 is up over Babuyan Islands, while the southern portion of Batanes and the northern portions of mainland Cagayan and Ilocos Norte are under signal number 4. Under signal number 3 are the rest of Batanes and Ilocos Norte, the central portion of mainland Cagayan, and the northern and central portions of Apayao. Signal number 2 is raised over the rest of mainland Cagayan and Apayao, as well as in Isabela, Abra, Kalinga, Mountain Province, Ifugao, Ilocos Sur, as well as over the northern portion of Benguet and La Union and the northeastern portion of Nueva Vizcaya. Based on the forecast track, Super Typhoon Nando is seen to exit the Philippine area of responsibility by tomorrow morning. But there is another potential storm brewing east of Mindanao. It is still outside of PAR at the moment.
And to answer all our questions about Super Typhoon Nando, let's bring in Alvin Pura, News 5's weather frontliner. Hi, Alvin. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. Okay, give us a concept no kung gaano kalakas nga ba ang signal number 5 and 4?
Alright, yung ating signal number 5 and 4, usually yan yung mga areas na malapit sa eyewall ng bagyo. And then yung eyewall ng bagyo, nandiyan yung ating malakas na hangin. Dahil sa na-recent Google first, then nandiyan na focus yung ating malakas na hangin. Ngayon, yung ating super typhoon category is around 185 kilometers per hour na lakas ng hangin or more than that. Etong si Super Typhoon Nando, umabot na yan sa 215 kilometers per hour na lakas ng hangin. So medyo, yan na po yung medyo malakas nating bagyo. And then, meron niyang gustiness pa. Yung 215, yung ating 10-minute average na lakas ng hangin. So yun yung constant na mararamdaman near the eyewall or yung mga areas na malapit nga sa gitna. Pero meron pa yung mga gustiness, yung mga seldom nating mararamdaman na up to 295 kilometers per hour na lakas ng hangin. So yan po ay damaging winds, lalong-lalo na sa infrastructure, agriculture, and kaya na magpatumba ng puno at magpalipad ng mga bubong ng bahay, lalong-lalo na yung nakagawa lamang sa light materials and destructive na po talaga yung ganyan kalakas na hangin. Sa ngayon, yung ating ganyan kalalakas na hangin is, yun nga, nandun sa mga areas na nasa ilalim ng tropical cyclone wind signal number 4 and 5 ng Pag-asa. Yes, ma'am?
Okay. Alvin, alam mo, ang daming storm chasers no, from all over the world na nandoon ngayon sa norte. Dahil kakaiba raw talaga itong si Super Typhoon Nando, yung mata daw niya, mas malaki pa daw sa Metro Manila. At truly, yun ba ang rason kung bakit meron tayong red rainfall warning dito sa Metro Manila? Kahit mataas siya, nararamdaman natin dito, pati yung bugso ng hangin.
Okay, dito sa Metro Manila, yung effect is, or yung nagdadala ng mga pagulan sa atin, is due to the habagat or southwest monsoon na hinihila ng bagyong Nando. So hindi na siya direct effect. Meron siyang, tawag natin dyan is indirect effect dahil meron pa tayong inflow ng hangin na pumupunta doon sa bagyo, which is dumadaan dito sa Metro Manila. So given that habagat or southwest monsoon, medyo mataas po yung ating moisture content niyan. So any time of the day, well, ngayon nga dahil nga medyo malakas yung ating habagat, is nakakaranas tayo ng mga pagulan at mga thunderstorms dahil nga doon sa epekto ng ating habagat. And then, yung ating hangin from the center ng bagyo, incrementally, nababawasan naman yan habang lumalayo ka from the bagyo mismo. Pero ngayon, meron kasi tayong inflow ng hangin ng habagat. Although mas mahina, hindi kasing lakas ng super typhoon or hindi kasing hindi umabot ng hanggang 215 kilometers per hour. Dahil nga napakalakas na nung nasa gitna, kahit bawasan mo yan ng konti, is ramdam pa rin po natin. Yung mga minsan breezy, tumitigil naman, pero minsan nagkakaroon din tayo ng gusty conditions dito sa Metro Manila. Actually, hindi lang po Metro Manila, maging yung mga areas na karating lugar nito, kasama dyan po itong areas ng Cavite, Batangas or yung ibang bahagi ng Calabarzon. Especially, ayan, umabot din dito sa Mimaropa area, Mindoro particularly, medyo malakas din yung ating mga natatanggap na ulan dyan and up to Western Visayas. So medyo malawak kasi ang circulation itong bagyong Nando and dito sa, dahil panahon nga ng habagat ngayon, concentrated din yung ating inflow ng hangin galing sa ibaba, sa southwest dahil nga southwest monsoon. Yes, ma'am.
Alright, maraming salamat sa update na yan. Alvin Pura, News 5's Weather Frontliner.
You're still watching The Big Story here on One News. Coming up, House Speaker Boji D wants an end to the lower chamber's investigation on flood control projects. One of the few reasons he cited, the public has lost its trust in the probe anyway. The details of that when we return. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the big story. Gawad Kalinga founder Tony Meloto is just at the beginning of what could be a long legal battle ahead. The Justice Department has recently indicted him for sex trafficking charges. What now for the community developer who's been described by many as an almost saint? Here's part of my exclusive interview with him. It came as a shock to many, supporters and critics alike, that Tony Meloto would face this challenge in his lifetime and at his age. Now at 75 years old, he is facing charges of sex trafficking for allegedly abusing two male former students in his organization's youth training program. Meloto, of course, has been hailed in the country and abroad for the work he did for Gawad Kalinga, building homes and providing livelihood for tens of thousands of the poorest Filipinos.
You've been regarded as a living saint practically because of the work that you've done. But with this case, now you're being portrayed as a predator, a sexual predator of the very people you're trying to help. So sino ba talaga si Tony Meloto?
I'm an ordinary Filipino with no political power, no economic wealth, no celebrity status, who just loves our country and who will not abandon the poor where he came from. I've been through a lot, but God has blessed my family. God has blessed 3,000 communities with land and homes. God has blessed me with a global family. And they should not dwell on what it is that this stage that people allege against me. Maybe they should just remember the times when we were together and that their own experience.
Let's go now. So, GK says, issued a statement in March of this year saying it conducted an investigation. Did that happen?
No. None of the members of the board ever talked to me. And the thing here, if there was an investigation, they should have come talk to me, and they should have come to the community and find out the truth for themselves. That's why an invitation call, because of all of these allegations against me and all these hearsay, these exaggerated stories and things taken out of context. How come GK is no longer did not bring out the same heroism, that we experienced? I don't know, is it a movement that had run its course? Or was it mismanaged? Was it neglected? Was it abandoned? I don't know.
And to his accusers, the young men he treated as his own sons and who treated him as a father, Meloto seems taken aback by the charges of sexual abuse.
I think they were either angry with me for being punished before, or they were also fueled by certain people who had issues against me. Because after 7 years, and who is funding this whole thing?
Who?
I don't know. Pero, we will get to the bottom of this. No, and but my interest is these two boys are just victims of their own poverty, and I'm not angry with them.
With the case now in court, Meloto is cautious with his words and what he can and cannot say at this point. Asked if he is innocent of the sex trafficking charges, this was all he could say.
I've never been unfaithful to my wife for the last 46 years. I never made love to another woman or to a man, in my life after I got married. So, I think at the heart of it is faithfulness to marriage, faithfulness to family, faithfulness to the mission that God has given. Kasi I have nothing to hide. Sabi ko, wala pa akong lalaking nahalikan . I've never had any oral sex. I never had any anal sex, whatever it is. No, and I've never been unfaithful to my wife.
The full exclusive interview with Tony Meloto is out this week on One News. That's on the long take that airs this Wednesday, September 24 at 7 p.m. I was also able to speak to Meloto's accusers and defenders. Those stories are in the One News documentaries airing Saturday, September 27 at 8:30 p.m. Catch these full-length exclusive reports only here on One News, all sides, all the time.
And in other news, if it were for newly appointed House Speaker Faustino Boji D. III, he will just scrap the Infrastructure Committee. In D's first interview with reporters, he said the investigation over anomalous flood control projects is better left with the Independent Commission for Infrastructure.
Hindi naman pinaniniwalaan ng ating karamihan ng ating mga kababayan kung anong nangyayari dito sa Infocommunication. Sa tingin ko, mas makakabuti na ipasa na namin sa ICI.
Congress is taking a hit in the flood control scandal, with contractors implicating some lawmakers for receiving kickbacks in floodworks. One way to rebuild the public's trust, according to D, is releasing the SALNs of all public officials.
Sa tingin ko naman, sa ngayon, kailangan talaga maging makita nila ang ating mga miyembro at hindi lang dito sa miyembro ng ating mababang kapuluan, dito sa Kongreso, ay lahat dapat talagang makita at maging bukas ang SALN ng bawat isa para sa ganun talagang ipakita natin sa ating mga kababayan at may manumbalik ang pagtitiwala sa atin.
Meanwhile, D said Ako Bicol Party List Representative Zaldico has not yet responded to the revocation of his travel clearance. The House directed the beleaguered lawmaker last week to return home in 10 days.
Meantime, among those who joined yesterday's trillion peso march was TV host Vice Ganda. Vice took to the stage at the EDSA protest and gave out an expletive-laden speech. She cursed corrupt government officials for stealing taxpayers' money. Vice also called for harsher punishment to those who will be found guilty. In today's press briefing, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro acknowledged the public's outrage over the corruption allegations and the right to express its sentiments. Castro, however, without identifying anyone, reminded demonstrators against the use of foul language. Meanwhile, Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines President Cardinal Pablo Virgilio David reacted to Vice Ganda's call to bring back the death penalty for corrupt officials. Cardinal David in a Facebook post said that while he understands the anger towards corrupt politicians, capital punishment almost always sees the poor suffer and executed while the wealthy escape. That is why the Cardinal said the answer to corruption cannot be more death, but a deeper reform of justice and one that protects the poor and holds the powerful accountable.
Now, we discussed this with Father Jerome Ceciliano, spokesperson of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines. Good evening to you and welcome to The Big Story.
Hi, good evening, Tess. Good evening to your televiewers.
Father, what's next after yesterday's rally, which saw people from all walks of life out in the streets? Father?
Hello?
Father, go ahead. The signal is not that good, but if you could change your position slightly so we could get a better signal. Father?
Okay. Yes, the organizers haven't met yet to discuss what to do next after the rally. And we are waiting for, many of them to come together so that they can plan what to do next. But there was a clamor that those rallies be activated. But I don't know yet what's going to happen.
Father, unfortunately, we don't have a very good signal.
Maybe they can call again. I will look for a good spot.
Okay, I'm afraid we don't have much time, but as a final word from you, what is your assessment of the rallies yesterday? All right. Father, we'll have to move this interview to tomorrow, if that's okay. We thank you, Father Jerome Ceciliano, CBCP spokesperson.
You were there yesterday.
I was.
Anong assessment mo?
Honestly, compared to EDSA 2, because I was there, magulo siya. Magulo siya, para siyang music fest. I was telling Pawi, iba-iba yung stage. People were crisscrossing. They weren't really sure saan ba yung main event. But actually, maraming sabay-sabay na nagyayari. And I guess because inurong na siya dun sa monument, and yung EDSA 2, nandun siya talaga sa gitna. Talagang walang makadaan na cars. Kasi hinarang, ito meron pa nakikinig pa yung mga tao sa traffic enforcers. But one thing's for sure, people are mad. I felt that.
You saw that.
I felt it.
Yeah.
Everyone was mad.
And so this is just the beginning.
I think
right?
so.
Yeah.
This is just the first, it's like a warning bark, di ba? Hindi pati yung kagat.
But I do agree, hindi naman dapat ibalik ang death penalty because it's really the poor that are usually charged and end up getting, the penalty, but not the wealthy, the powerful. They
can manipulate,
yes.
they can influence.
Delay,
siguro
get
better.
Pardon.
Better siguro i-reform muna natin yung justice system natin bago natin ibalik si death penalty to make sure.
But I guess Vice Ganda was just, her anger din kasi yesterday, di ba? But not just her, a lot of celebrities were also there. And yung the volume of people is just a testament to how mad everyone is, di ba? Yung sa Luneta, yung sa EDSA. And we know that change won't happen overnight, but this is the start of the public wanting to hold our officials accountable.
And it's amazing that people now are aware about the budget process. Before, wala namang
diba? Small committee, may ganun pala, di ba?
Exactly.
But you're right, no? Vice really resonated with a lot of people. Kahit nang nagmura siya, sorry, Father, di ba? And I'm sure everyone saw that clip.
Yeah.
But, wala, galit eh.
Authentic na pagmumura yun.
Sanay naman tayo.
Forgiven na yun.
na-forgive siya agad ni Father.
Ni Father.
Oo nga, hindi tuloy natin matanong si Father masyado eh.
Pwede naman mag-penance, di ba?
Ayun.
Yun na, babalik tayo sa earlier topic.
Oo.
Penance.
Tama.
All right, and that will do it for us on The Big Story this Monday. Thank you so much for watching.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
We're back here tomorrow at 7:30 as usual. See you then. Have a good night.
Coming up next, though, we have play-by-play with Andre Felix and Cheska Leton Kalau. Guys.
Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Were you
What
there
are-
also, Check?
She
Did you
was.
go?
Yes, I was.
She attempted, pero medyo...
I
Magulo.
attempted to at least, go where
Kahit sa
everyone
edge
was.
lang, di ba?
Okay.
But ang daming tao and I'm not exactly that big of a person that I can
Squeeze your way through, yeah.
So I checked out the White Plains side, I checked out the EDSA side, and Sean is right. Ramdam mo ang galit ng mga tao.
Pero
Diba?
mas
Kahit nasa
peaceful,
gilid.
mas tahimik doon. Kasi nga...
Oh, it was peaceful.
Yeah, it was kasi compared to sa
Mendiola,
Mendiola, kung saan may mga naghagis sa mga...
Kasi, alam mo, Andre, yung mga tao, pag nagagalit sila, iba-iba yung style eh. But it doesn't mean na, one kind of anger is lesser than the other kind of anger.
Oh,
Hindi naman
totoo
natin pwede i-reduce
mas
yun.
violente lang talaga yun doon sa Mendiola, pati doon sa CM Recto. Diba?
Pero,
Nagbasag pa nga. Oh.
kamusta yung si EJ yung nanalo kahapon, di
Oh,
ba?
yes.
Sa pole vaulting. Ang dami
Other
nangyari
things
kahapon.
Dami, hindi. Actually, dami talaga over the weekend.
Yeah,
Super,
UAAP,
UAAP opening weekend.
Atletang Ayala World Pole Vault
Yes.
Challenge.
Tapos
So many-
FIVB, tuloy-tuloy pa. Pa-quarters na. Tapos yun nga, rallies left and right, nationwide. And we just want to commend since I don't know if walang USC sa inyo, no? No, ang galing ng USC. Props to USC for holding a great opening ceremony. Sabi ko pang world class.
Yes, agree. We were talking about it nga last week. Pero ito, habang 8:32 pa lang, kunin nyo na yung time dahil sobrang dami nangyari this weekend kahit pa sa mundo
Oh
ng
yeah,
sport.
we turned over at exactly 8:30.
Oo, kahapon si Ces, naalala ko, right after ng shift nila. Naiya ako kay Andre, puro kami OT sa Big Story. Okay, babawi. Thank you once again. Happy Monday to Ces, to Sean, and to Pauline. Tonight on our show, we've got opening weekend, as Cheska mentioned, UAAP Season 88 Men's Basketball Tournament, plus updates from the round of 16 of the FIVB Men's Volleyball World Championship.
And we've got an EJ Obiena victory right here at home as he tops the inaugural Atletang Ayala World Pole Vault Challenge.
At least may good news. A lot of bright news here at the side of sports. I'm Andre Felix.
And I'm Cheska Liton Calao.
And here's tonight's play-by-play.
The show by Mamoy leaves it. Interval puts it on. Unbelievable. Gemma on the left side. Oh, the pass! Another one. Makunas rejected.